to this computer. Cool, and we're rolling. So this is interview series, stories, lessons, and inspiration. I'm Will Aylward. I'm joined here by incredible guy who I had the pleasure of meeting last summer, I think. Kenny Muhovic. How you doing today?
Doing great, Will. Doing great. Yeah, it's been a while since we first met, but we've always stayed in contact, and so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm really pleased you're here. Really pleased we're here. So we've had some time to catch up just before, because we haven't spoken in a while. But your latest. So I should explain to the people watching. You started off presenting sort of personal development events. Was that in Luxembourg or was that elsewhere?
Yeah, it was in Luxembourg. Actually, precisely 1 year ago, I started hosting these personal development seminars once a month in Luxembourg.
Awesome. Yeah. And I heard they were good. I spoke to I can't think of his name. There's a guy, and he said you're connected with Kenny. He's good at his stuff. And I don't want to what's the word? How can I put that? Lick your bum. I'll put that nicely. Lick your bum. But when we met at the mastermind in Luxembourg, I could tell that you had some presenting skills, because when you were talking, it was really engaging. I sat there I could listen to you speak.
Yeah, definitely.
I could listen to you speak for a long time.
I appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. And so you were doing these personal development events, and I've seen now through social media, and I've been following really sort of excitedly. You've created Next Wave Leadership.
Yes.
So I'd love to I've sort of checked it out, and I've been sort of absorbing your content.
Right.
But for people watching, what's the Next Wave Leadership?
Right. So through my experience of hosting these seminars, and I've also been engaged in various entrepreneurial ventures, I've been able to meet some relatively successful people in leadership positions, people in leadership roles, and I've learned a lot about leadership. But what I realized is that there are a lot of people who are in the leadership roles, but they are not authentic leaders. And what do I mean by authentic? I mean that when they're in this professional context, when they're in that leadership role, they preach all these values. They lead by example with their actions, but they're not necessarily leading by example with their character. So meaning when they're off the stage, when the light isn't shining on them, they're not really living up to their values in their private life, And so I saw this, discrepancy of people leading by example with their actions, but not with their character. So it's like, I think nowadays, especially given, lots of recent events, I think authentic leadership is what we really need in our society.
Definitely.
So I said, hey, why not create a platform that aims at inspiring the next wave of leaders in our society by inspiring them to grow into a leader and not just be a leader. So that's kind of my slogan, my motto: try to focus on becoming a leader and not being a leader. And to become a leader, I feel that, that authenticity is achieved when you have a high level of personal development, so that as you grow as a person, you grow as a leader. That's kind of the way I see it. And that's what Next Wave Leadership does. It focuses on providing you with personal development content to grow as a leader, and at the same time, give you the skills and mindset to develop into a leader.
Yeah. You know what? It reminds me of, sort of fixed and growth mindset. So be a leader is, okay, I'm already here, I'm showing up. Whereas becoming a leader, it's this process, it's this growth.
Exactly. It's a process, definitely. That's what I'm really aiming at, is that it's a never ending process, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's always this room to grow as a person.
Exactly.
There's always the next book. There's always the next model that we can learn.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So I love this. So it's inspiring the next sort of generation of leaders.
Exactly.
Yeah. How do you think sort of leaders? What's required of a leader in 2017? Because I think we it's definitely changed. If you go back sort of 50 years, you know, a leader for me would have been a bit like a boss. So if we're thinking like a sort of corporate context, a leader would just be a boss, somebody showing up. And
exactly,
you're right, you know, maybe having these actions that are characterized of a leader, but not having this authenticity. So yeah, what makes a great leader in 2017?
Yeah, I think that, you know, whatever definition you have of leadership, I think it all boils down to influence, right? So a leader is someone who's able to influence their audience, their following, their team members. But I think now in the 21st century and in 2017, I think that we have to take a look at this influence, this influence away from a physical sense. So my definition of leadership is a leader is somebody who evokes an emotional state that inspires people to do more than they could or should, right?
Oh, wow. So, could or
right.
should. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So when you look at it this way, I mean, with social media and with all these platforms, especially Facebook video, Instagram video, Snapchat, we're exposed to so much content every day, and this content and these videos are influencing us. So when you think of it, you know, a leader isn't necessarily someone who's, let's say, in a corporation organization. What about someone who has 10,000 followers, you know, or an audience of 50,000? Why aren't they a leader? You know, they're influencing 10,000, 50,000 people. So the way I see leadership now in the 21st century is not just in this managerial corporate context. It's more in, okay, do you have people who willingly listen to you, who willingly follow you? Okay, so you have influence over them. So I think that with social media, a lot of us have a leadership role, because whatever we're posting, we don't know who we're influencing. So I think that leadership has gone from this, as you said, boss-like status, managerial, corporate context, to really, okay, what are you sharing? Who are you influencing with these social media platforms, and who are you inspiring with the content that you post as well?
Wow, beautiful. And I mean, social media has just changed so many things. It's an even playing field. Anyone can, in that sense, be a leader.
Exactly. And I think that's the point. I think, you know, we all are. That's also one of my, you know, ideas and messages, is that we all are leaders to a certain extent, but we just don't realize it, you know, because we're constantly influencing people, whether you're a parent, you know, you have influence over your children. Maybe your children have influence over you, you know, right? So whether you're a teacher, principal, whether, again, you're a thought, I'm going to say a thought influencer, you know, thought leader. We all have a certain degree of influence, and with that comes responsibility.
Definitely. It's really interesting. I was coming back from Luxembourg yesterday from a concert, and I was sort of preparing some questions for today, and the question hit me, you know, can anyone be a leader? And I was of sort of two opinions, and I was like, well, I think everyone in their own right, in their own way, is a leader. You know, anyone can sort of step up. And I thought a leader in the sense of somebody who has this sort of instinct. You know how some people, let's say I used the example with Yvonne yesterday. Let's say there's like a traffic accident. There's certain people who sort of step up. There's certain people who take that responsibility and say, okay, out the way. This. And there's other people who would sort of go into this, they sort of move away from that. So I really struggled with this question, whether anyone can be a leader. I'd love to know, do you think anyone can be a leader in the sense of somebody who steps up, takes responsibility?
I think that's also a question I've really been struggling with as well. It's really challenging. I think that this instinctive leadership, as you mentioned, I think that personally, from my experience now, is something that people are born with, you know, that they have this, let's say, instinct to step up in crisis situations, or, you know, just in general. When I did this interview with Robin Seeger, he talked about how, the example of school children, you know, during recess, during break, you have, you know, 40 school children, you know, playing around, but eventually the children kind of gravitate towards one or two, three individuals, and these 2, 3 individuals, they're the ones that kind of dictate, okay, you know, we're going to play tag, we're going to play dodgeball,
Yeah.
you know, and you can see that from an early age. So I think that there are certain individuals who have this instinctive leadership, but at the end of the day, I think that everyone can develop their leadership potential, but not everyone's going to be in a leadership position. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. And that's completely true for me as well. Because I think, again, it's funny, like certain people popped into my head. I sort of thought about being on the, I was a sheep. I was a sheep. I was one of the people going, you know, what team am I playing on if it was football? There's definitely, I definitely agree with that people have that instinct. Yeah. But I also think leadership is, there's certain skills that anyone can develop. Actually.
Exactly.
I think,
and that's the point. I think these people with the natural instinct, they won't necessarily be leaders. They might have that instinct, but then it comes with developing that, you know, and learning the necessary skills. So I think that people with that instinct have, let's say, a natural bias, you know, or a head start, but that doesn't mean they will actually emerge as the leader. I mean, if I look at example of, I read his biography, Elon Musk, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You know, when they interviewed his former classmates, colleagues, you know, friends growing up, everyone said he was the last person they would expect to become, you know, this influential figure and this, you know, let's say multi-millionaire, even I think billionaire now. They said he was the last person they thought, because he was very shy. He never had any leadership positions in school. He wasn't, you know, the head of a club or something like, or of a sports team or something like that. So it's interesting, because if you would extrapolate the experience of him growing up, you know, or who he was when he was a kid, if you'd extrapolate that, you would never guess that he would be the Elon Musk that we know today. So I think that this instinctive leadership gives you a head start, but it won't necessarily determine who will be a leader.
Yeah, it's almost like a dormant volcano.
Exactly.
Until somebody sort of ignites this fire.
Exactly.
This idea of, okay, maybe I could be a great leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely, because I thought I had this question yesterday, and I was like, it wasn't a clear answer. It was really
and I don't think there'll ever be a proper clear answer. And you know, everyone has their own experiences, everyone has their own experiences, and so everyone has their own opinion on it, right? So it's really a question that's very difficult to, you know, come to a clear-cut answer to.
Yeah, it's interesting. It'd be fun to debate over.
Yeah, definitely.
Over several hours.
Exactly.
Cool. So you touched on the word experience there,
right?
Which brings me nicely to my next question. What was your first experience of a great leader? So the first time that you, I don't know, maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was I don't know, manager, but the first time that you thought, okay, this person is a great leader.
Right. Yeah, I have to think back. I mean, one example was obviously when I spent my childhood in the States, in the United States. So I had very good elementary school teachers. I really have to, you know, when I look back, I have to give props to them. You know, I had some really, really, I think, incredible elementary school teachers, because they were, you know, very passionate. So I had like I'd say 2 or 3 that really left an impact on me. And when I look back, you know, my first grade teacher, when you're a kid, you know, that's your first experience with education. And so I think it's so important that these elementary school teachers are passionate about their teaching, and that they want to inspire the children to learn more. And I think my first grade teacher did a great job at that. She really created this environment, you know, where the children were inspired to, you know, do more than they thought they could or should, you know, think beyond, let's say, traditional boundaries. So when I look back at my first, if I think of really the first leader, of course, at the time as a child, as a kid, I didn't think of that, you know, like, wow, this is a leader. But now
Yeah,
looking back in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, you know, I had 2 or 3 really, in my opinion, great elementary school teachers who were leaders because they were inspiring their children to, you know, go on and learn more. And I think because I had such a great experience in early education, that really encouraged me to, you know, learn more. And I never had a problem at school, you know, I never had a problem, and I always finished with excellent grades. But I think it was because my first contact with education came from a teacher who could inspire. So really, when I look back, the earliest example was, were some elementary school teachers, definitely.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for a lot of us. It's having, because teachers are leaders. A good teacher, you know, and I've sort of worked in education. And you see it. A good teacher wears so many hats. They're not just simply teaching. They are inspiring. They're encouraging. You know, there's this emotional responsibility as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's for most people, the first experience of a leader, when we think about it, would be teaching.
Yeah, and that's coming now to, that's when I look at, like I said, as my first real experience, as you said, of who I saw as a great leader. But also now, recently, when I really became involved in personal development, someone who I really see as a leader, and even though I've never met them physically, is Tony Robbins. Now this is somebody, again, this shows the impact of how leadership has changed in the 21st century. Tony Robbins can still have an impact on people and can still inspire and still serve as a leader, figure, even though millions have never met the guy. They've only seen him or experienced him through videos and audio. So for me, Tony Robbins is someone who, like, nowadays, in the current time, I see as a true leader, as a great leader, because he's not only able to inspire people to do more than they could or should. He also lives up to everything he preaches in his private life. If you look at his private life, he really lives up to what he preaches to his audience. And he's not only leading by example with actions, but with his character. If you meet him, I've talked to people who've met him personally, just on the street, and he's such a genuine, nice guy, the guy you would expect to meet when you see him on stage. So that's someone who I look up to as a great leader right now.
Yeah, definitely. And even in the documentary, his wife says, people ask me if he's the same Tony at home, and he absolutely is. It kind of comes back to that sort of authenticity. Exactly. So that's someone who I see as extremely authentic, and someone who, again, lives up to that definition of leadership in my eyes. Definitely. I think that resonate with a lot of people. I love his work. Probably one of the first people I sort of discovered when I first got into this world of personal development. Exactly. What was your first experience of personal development? Was it a book? Was it a video on YouTube? Yeah, actually, interestingly, so next to my bachelor studies, I got introduced to the world of personal development because I was I was introduced to this field of actually network marketing, right? So some people have heard of network marketing. There's a lot of there's a lot of controversial views on it, right? But I was introduced to network marketing, and I started building a network marketing business next to my studies. And through network marketing, that's where I was introduced to books such as Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Kiyosaki, and then through there, I started then going more into personal development by myself, Robert Kiyosaki, okay, what else has he done? What else has he written? And then I started listening to him, then Napoleon Hill, once you start really, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Then once you start looking at these names and you see, wow, there's more and more, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. So through there, that network marketing got me started into personal development. Then I really started then doing it myself, actually. So it's funny. I see that a lot. I get added a lot on Facebook by network marketers, and they say, I see you're a coach. I've got a business which will really really complement
Right.
And I just shut it down and go, okay, like this isn't
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Again, it's for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. But you got your own thing going on right now, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
With your coaching, you know. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's quite a few people actually through network marketing, they do discover personal development.
Exactly, and that's the thing, because I was at university at the time, and you know what I think is quite crazy is that why aren't we introduced to personal development in university? I mean, personal development university is all about again, learning not just about the theory, but it's about overall learning experience. I think the biggest thing you get out of, let's say, university life is not what you learn in the classroom, but what you learn outside the classroom. And I think it's just quite a shame that, you know, I've never heard about a university that offers like a personal development track, you know, within its curriculum. You know, if they do have a personal development track, it's just something where maybe you spend 2 hours of the month, you know, talking about maybe goal setting, but it's not the real personal development that you and I and many of the people listening to this interview, what we know, you know.
I think that's a crime. I mean, this is a topic I'm very passionate about, you know. Why is that not taught even in primary school?
Exactly.
And there's personal development, but within that it's, you know, finances. We don't learn how to learn. We don't learn what happens up here. We don't learn about thoughts, mindfulness. Yeah, I'll have to stop there because otherwise I'm going to get very
no, for sure.
But absolutely, you know, I think that's important. There needs to be, because yes, it is personal. Maybe it is for us to go off in our own time, but why not ignite that fire early on? Why not?
Exactly. That's the point. You know, fortunately for me, I was exposed to network marketing, which exposed me to personal development. But you know, who knows if I never, you know, got started with network, who knows if I would even have heard about, maybe I would have heard about 1 or 2 books, but maybe the person I am today wouldn't exist, you know, if that contact with personal development, as you said, that to ignite that fire, you know. And I think there's so many people, especially at the university level, who are wondering about the bigger picture, who have this how can I say, curiosity to learn about the bigger picture, but they're not exposed to the right material.
Well, thank God there's people like you and there's Next Wave Leadership who are you know, sharing personal development, which absolutely is going to reach people and introduce them.
Definitely. Thank you. That's my goal. So definitely.
Awesome. So 5 years time, let's imagine we're catching up.
Right.
5 years from now, where would you like Next Wave Leadership to be, or how would you like it to look?
Yeah, I mean, Next Wave Leadership is something that I will continue to build, no matter what I'm doing. Whether that's you know, let's say whether it be I'm still studying, you know, or whether it be I'm working, or whether it be that I have my own business, my own company, I still want to continue to build Next Wave Leadership. And what I see with Next Wave Leadership in the next 5 years is I really would just want it to be a brand or a platform where people can turn to if they want, again, if they want to develop themselves as a person and ultimately develop themselves into, I just want it to be one of the platforms that if people mention it who are into personal development, people know what it's about. You know what I mean? Like if you say, you know, Tony Robbins, or say Rich Dad Poor Dad, you know, or if you say whatever, some of these, you know, titles or names, people who are familiar with personal development already, they know what you're talking about, you know. And I want Next Wave Leadership to kind of be in that category where it's a household name almost in the field of personal development and leadership. So, and I don't really have let's say concrete strategy, like, okay, this is exactly what I'm gonna do, you know. But I really want to be traveling and speaking, getting invited to different talks and events and seminars to share my thoughts on leadership and personal development. So Next Wave Leadership, I want it to become a platform that's, you know, that's a thought leader in the field of personal development and leadership. I
look forward to seeing this. And creating it, because I know you will.
Thank you. I really, I really appreciate that. You know, it's a process. So, just got to continue, you know, putting out quality content, sharing content, inspiring people, and you know, it'll fall, as Jim Rohn says, right? You share a good story long enough, and it'll fall into the right people's hands.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely. That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say somebody's watching and they are an aspiring leader. What tip or tips would you give to them to sort of connect with this idea of a leader in 2017?
Right. So kind of like what tip would I give people, like if they really want to develop their leadership potential, what tip would I give them
Exactly.
for 2017? I mean, I think that one of the biggest tips I can give is to be it's hard because there's a few like key tips, but one thing is to develop your empathy, you know, is to be as empathetic as possible, and genuinely empathetic, you know, because at the end of the day, leadership is all about working and dealing with people. So you need to have this high level of EQ, right? You need to know how to deal with people, with their emotions. And I think being empathetic allows people to be able to open up to you. You know, they're able to relate to you. I think that when you're empathetic, people trust you. And that's what real leadership does, is they build this trust. Because when you build this trust, people are willing to open up. People are willing to take more risks, you know, in a good way. They're willing to take more risks, you know, they're willing to push the boundaries. And then that's where, you know, innovation happens. That's where breakthroughs happen. So I think that I really encourage people who are interested in developing their leadership potential to really work on their empathy, which involves, you know, your communication skills, your listening skills. You know, empathy there's a lot of, let's say, categories around it, but it's all about learning how to work with people. I think that's the most valuable thing one can learn, because at the end of the day, businesses, organizations, if you would take away all the titles and take away the hierarchy and the organizational structure, it's just people working together, and that's it. So if you know how to work with people, I think that's the most valuable skill you can learn.
Yeah, definitely. That's an amazing tip. Tip. And it almost goes against everything that I sort of see as a leader. You know, a leader, we often have an idea of like a strong leader, powerful leader, almost being disconnected and anything but empathetic.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like I'm in charge, I'm saying what goes, whereas what you're saying is, no, open up, have this almost like a culture of
exactly,
being empathetic and just in touch with your emotions, because when we feel what someone else feels, we're just relatable.
Exactly. And I think, you know, there's a quote that I love, and it goes like this: like a successful leader, they need to they need to basically find a sweet spot. They need to be far enough to motivate, but close enough to relate. You know?
Oh wow!
And
I like that.
And I think that is the perfect way to summarize it, because if you're too close, it's going to be very difficult to motivate, you know, your team or your audience. You know, but if you're too far, as you said, people who are really, you know, create this invisible wall, you won't be able to relate, and then people won't be able to open up and build this trust and take risks. So I think you have to find that sweet spot between being far enough to motivate, but close enough to relate.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to write that down. And that's that sweet spot. That's about that.
Exactly.
Incredible. Okay, I think, was there anything else? Do you think anyone else? Okay, I think we're there for so I have sort of two parts of the interview. One, which is really based around you and what you're working on. And I'd like to end with, I call it fun questions. I don't even know if anyone else finds it fun, but I do.
Sure.
So if you're happy to, just a couple of questions.
Okay.
So the first question, and you know, I'm really into psychology, and I like to sort of not analyze people's answers.
Yeah.
I get curious about people's answers. So the first one is, if you were an animal, if you could be an animal,
Right.
what would you be?
That's actually, that's very difficult. It's hard because like I love dogs, you know.
Okay.
I love dogs. They're so loyal and they're so happy and they're most of the time carefree, you know. And I think that I would be a dog, but what type of dog? I would be probably in a Akita. You know, it's a Japanese dog actually.
Okay.
It's nice. It's a proper big dog. They're really smart. They're really intelligent. So I think I mean, off the top of my mind, you know, I haven't thought about this, but the first thing that comes to my mind is a dog actually, because they're so loyal, friendly, carefree. Most of the time, carefree. You know, they're just there. They live in the present. You know, dogs live in the present, and I think that's so important. Dogs don't. I mean, animals in general, of course, don't have the same capacity as humans to think about the past or the future. But I feel that dogs are really great at being in the present and enjoying the moment.
Definitely. This reminds me of a quote from The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Right.
He talks about how the mind would always go between back and forth, and he said if animals could speak and you'd ask for any animal for the time, they would go, the time is now.
No.
There's no other time. You know, they don't wear watches. They haven't got this
Exactly.
Okay, dog, cool. So loyal and just being very present. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And final fun question. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who and why?
Yeah, I think that it might be a bit obvious given that I mentioned him before, but it would definitely be for me Tony Robbins, because this is, again, someone I look up to in many different regards. I think he's someone, again, who's achieved massive success in his life, but who has also given massively to others, you know, whether it's through his charities, whether it's through the content he puts out. I mean, you know, I think he's releasing a new book right now. I think it's called Unshakable. And he's donating 100% of the profits from the book, you know, to charity. I mean, he also did that with his previous book, Money Master the Game. And so if I would have dinner with anybody, it would be Tony Robbins, and just to really pick his brain and also just to get to know the guy. I think a lot of people associate him with only his like capacity to motivate and inspire in terms of emotions and psychology, but he's also very skilled financially as well. And as I'm doing my master's in finance, I would love to sit down and also see his view on finance as well. So he's someone who's not just one dimensional, which I think is important as well. So
definitely. Yeah, I'd love to have even just 5 minutes just to
exactly, just to be in that presence, you know what I mean? And this comes back to that leadership as well. You know, I think leaders, they emit this sort of vibe, this energy, this presence you can sense, and you know you want to be in that presence. You want to be in that energy field because you feel safe. You know, you feel you can open up and you can just talk to them about anything, and they can provide you with some wisdom. So it's like this energy field, I think, that leaders really emit.
Definitely. You said it earlier on about, you know, emotions. It's to do with emotions, and I think there's several different types of people. There's people who, when they walk into the room, I don't know what it is, but something lifts.
Exactly.
I had a conversation with a guy from the Irish pub where I go to. Right. We had this conversation about what would you do if you won a coach, and he runs the pub, and I said, what would you do if you didn't run the pub? And I said, I'd study this. I'd study. I don't know how I would. I don't know much about this, but you know, when somebody walks into a room and something happens here, I don't know what it is, but something moves up.
Yeah.
You know, like an old friend. You know,
exactly.
You can't control it, and it's this rise.
Yeah.
Compare that, like ex-girlfriend or worse enemy walking in, something.
Yeah.
I'd study that. And I think a great leader, absolutely. There's this rush.
Exactly.
Goes up, and they leave you, and that carries. And they leave you in that way.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. I've loved this. I really appreciate your time and sharing your wisdom, and
I appreciate it as well. I had a great time. You know, thanks a lot for asking some some great questions too. You know, some thought-provoking questions. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, you're welcome. It's the animal one, isn't it? You're still there.
It
thinking,
is. Yeah. That's lingering in the back of my mind.
Yeah. Good stuff. We can talk about it afterwards.
Definitely.
Good stuff. Well, thanks so much. And yeah, I'll absolutely put below the video. People can check out Kenny's his creation, Next Wave Leadership.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Will. And
You're welcome.
I look forward to maybe future interviews as well. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, take care, my friend. We'll speak
all right,
soon.
you too.
Bye.